Thank you, Chairman Green. This critical piece of common sense legislation before the committee day deserves our attention. It deserved our attention in the 117th Congress. For years, the Chinese Communist Party, working through the People's Liberation Army, has executed sophisticated propaganda and espionage campaigns across the globe. Of particular concern is the CCP's practice of exploiting the open and collaborative nature of American academia to conduct widespread industrial and military espionage inside the United States. Confucius Institutes were first formed in 2004. These initiatives were marketed by the CCP as a way to promote Chinese language and culture, support local Chinese teaching internationally, and facilitate cultural exchanges. However, it quickly became apparent that Confucius Institutes were an extension of the CCP's global influence apparatus, allowing it to impact the decisions of academic institutions, spy on the activities of the homeland, and promote military-civil fusion programs. Military-civil fusion is the CCP's aggressive national strategy to help the PRC develop the most technologically advanced military in the world by the year 2049, often through the theft of American intellectual property and trade secrets. The United States government has rightly taken some successful action against this encroachment in the last several years. In 2021, the NDAA prohibited DoD funding from going to institutions of higher education that host Confucius Institutes, very similar to the base text of this bill that I'm proposing. But now the time occurs for us in the Department of Homeland Security to take similar action. Under no circumstances should a school in the United States be allowed to receive DHS funding while tacitly accepting CCP's money that comes with the price tag of fealty. This legislation I put forward today, H.R. 1516, the DHS Restrictions on Confucius Institutes Act, ensures that school prioritize the security of their scientific research and with technological development efforts above a paycheck from the CCP or entities affiliated with the CCP or the People's Liberation Army. Specifically, this legislation restricts DHS funding from going to universities who maintain relationships with entities connected to the CCP to support China's military-civil fusion programs. This bill ensures taxpayer dollars are appropriately used and encourages universities to end relationships with partners who do not have America's best interest in mind. More importantly, this bill ensures U.S. institutions are free of foreign influence and safe from the theft of their research and development work. Now, it was said earlier that this is extreme. Unfortunately, we have to draw a line in the sand. This should have happened last year. In fact, some on this committee may say it's not the same bill that passed out of the committee last Congress. That is true. This bill is actually stronger and actually draws that line in the sand. The threat landscape has shifted, and in addition, I worked in good faith last Congress with this committee in the previous majority under the assurance that this bill would receive floor consideration. It did not. Again, I worked in good faith with this committee, with the prior chairman, to do that. Instead, a compromised legislative bill was offered as an NDAA amendment, but it was blocked by the Rules Committee. You're going to hear arguments that this bill adversely impacts HBCUs, MSIs, and HSIs from receiving critical funding. I don't agree with this perspective. This bill simply asks universities to make a choice. Continue to take money from entities connected to the CCP or sever those ties and be eligible for all DHS taxpayer funding. Many HBCUs, MSIs, and HSIs have already voluntarily chosen to sever those ties. Specifically, in my home state of Texas and other states like Alabama, they have chosen to discontinue ties with entities associated with the CCP for the purpose of providing security here in the homeland. Look, it's time that we draw a line in the sand. Either you support national security or you don't. This is a very simple bill, and I, for the life of me, could not understand why anybody would vote against this particular legislation. If you're a university and you want to take money from the CCP, you don't get the access to national security-related research dollars that DHS or DoD offers. DoD has already made that clear. They've already drawn the line in the sand. So for us in the committee that was formed after the tragic events of 9/11 to sit here and say that this is partisan is absolutely ludicrous. According to President Biden's national security strategy, the People's Republic of China harbors the intention and increasingly the capacity to reshape the international order in favor of one that tilts the global playing field to its benefit, even as the United States remains committed to managing the competition between our countries responsibly. And I quote, that's his national defense strategy. I'd like to thank my staffer, Chase Savage, for following this for the last 3 years it's time that we do come together, and I agree with the ranking member. Let's have a bipartisan approach. This is an easy bill to support, and I yield back.
The gentleman